Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, A Day with Just Me and Boy. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don't and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. The morning began more quietly than usual. No motorbike engines humming past the gate. No neighbors calling to one another. No phone buzzing with messages demanding attention. It was just me, the soft light slipping through the curtains, and the gentle sound of breathing beside my bed. Boy was already awake. He didn't bark or jump or demand breakfast like other dogs might. Instead, he lay with his head resting on the mattress, eyes half open, watching me as if he had been waiting for this exact moment. His tail tapped slowly against the floor when he saw my eyes open. "Good morning, boy," I whispered. That was enough. He stood, stretched with a dramatic yawn, and pressed his warm nose into my hand, as if greeting me after a long journey rather than a single night's sleep. The house felt different knowing it was just the two of us. I shuffled into the kitchen, and he followed with his familiar soft footsteps. Not too close, not too far, like a quiet shadow that understood boundaries. When I filled his bowl, he didn't rush. He sat patiently, looking up at me as if waiting for permission. "Okay, eat," I said. His tail wagged once, and he began. I leaned against the counter sipping tea, watching him. There was something soothing about the small sounds, the gentle clink of kibble, the quiet rhythm of chewing, the sigh he made when satisfied. Outside, the sky was pale blue, washed clean by last night's rain. I decided we would not rush the day. No errands. No obligations. Just time. When I opened the door, Boy stepped out cautiously, sniffing the damp air. The yard smelled of wet earth and grass, and he moved slowly, nose close to the ground, reading the invisible stories left by the night. I sat on the step while he explored. Occasionally he looked back to make sure I was still there. Every time our eyes met, his tail wagged as if reassured. Yes, today we are together. A butterfly drifted past him, and he watched it with great seriousness, tilting his head slightly, unsure whether it was friend, toy, or miracle. He chose not to chase it. The morning stretched gently before us. Inside, I swept the floor while he followed the broom with intense curiosity. I folded laundry. He sat on the warm clothes as if claiming them. I tried to read. He placed his chin on the book, insisting that his presence was more important than any page. And maybe it was. There was no hurry in anything we did. At one point, he climbed onto the sofa and leaned against me, sighing deeply, his weight warm and grounding. I scratched behind his ears, and his eyes closed instantly, trusting the world enough to fall into small pockets of sleep. It struck me then how rare such moments are. No schedule, no noise, no pressure to be productive, just me and Boy, sharing a quiet morning that felt surprisingly full. By late morning, sunlight pooled across the floor, and the house warmed with a soft golden glow. Boy followed the light like it belonged to him, stretching out in the brightest patch and rolling onto his back with complete trust in the universe. I laughed. "How can you be this relaxed?" I asked. He blinked slowly, as if the answer were obvious. We decided to walk to the small path behind the house. Nothing special, just a narrow dirt trail lined with grass and scattered wildflowers. Yet to Boy, it was an entire world waiting to be rediscovered. He walked ahead, then returned, then circled me again, weaving invisible lines that tethered us together. Every scent stopped him. Every rustle invited investigation. A falling leaf became an event. A distant bird call turned his ears upright like satellite dishes receiving important transmissions. I realized that what felt ordinary to me was extraordinary to him. Halfway down the path, we paused near a puddle reflecting the sky. Boy studied his reflection, stepping forward cautiously, then retreating, then stepping forward again as if negotiating with another dog who mirrored his every move. I crouched beside him. The water rippled, and the reflection dissolved into soft waves. Moments later, he trotted happily away, satisfied with the mystery unresolved. Back home, the afternoon slowed further. I cooked lunch while he lay near the doorway, eyes following every movement. Occasionally, he lifted his head hopefully when something smelled promising, only to settle again with a content sigh. After eating, I sat on the floor beside him instead of at the table. He shifted closer, resting his head on my leg. His breathing deepened, steady and rhythmic, and without realizing it, My own breath matched his pace. Time softened. We napped. When I woke, his paw rested gently on my foot, as if to make sure I wouldn't disappear while he slept. I didn't move. I didn't want to disturb that quiet trust. Later, clouds gathered, and a light rain began tapping softly on the roof. Boy watched the droplets race down the window with intense concentration, following each path as though tracking tiny travelers. Thunder rumbled faintly in the distance. He looked at me, uncertain. "It's okay," I murmured. He leaned against my side, trusting my calm more than the sound. The rain passed quickly, leaving the air cool and fresh. Evening shadows began stretching across the yard, and the day felt as though it had moved slowly on purpose, giving us time to notice everything we usually ignore. We hadn't done anything remarkable, yet the day felt meaningful in a way I couldn't quite explain. As evening settled, the sky turned amber and soft violet. Boy sat beside me at the doorway, his shoulder touching my knee, both of us watching the light fade. The world felt slower, kinder, and complete. There had been no grand adventure, no dramatic moment, only shared presence. And somehow that was enough. Living in today's fast-moving world, we are constantly urged to do more, achieve more, and stay connected to everything except the moment we are living in. A day with Boy reminded me that connection does not come from speed, but from attention. Animals live fully in the present, offering loyalty, calm, and wordless understanding. When we slow down to meet them in that space, we rediscover patience, empathy, and emotional balance. We can carry this lesson into daily life. Pause to notice small details, spend uninterrupted time with loved ones, listen without rushing to respond, and treat animals with kindness and respect. Caring for them nurtures compassion within us. In return, they offer grounding, comfort, and unconditional acceptance. A peaceful life is not built from big achievements alone, but from small shared moments of presence, moments that remind us we are never truly alone.